Have you all opened to 139? And since there's 16 verses, I'm going to ask people to read four verses at a time, and it becomes easier to follow and to understand. So Shalini, could I ask you to read the first 4 verses of 139, Psalm 139?
Okay, let's read Psalm 139. O Lord, you have searched me, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely, O Lord.
Thanks, Shalini. So we have the first 4 verses of Psalm 139. And if you read those verses, what strikes you about them first and foremost? And this is a discussion, okay, guys? So everybody has to participate. And in fact, Jason, could I ask you to put us back on the gallery so that everybody's participating and we're all able to chat the view? Yes, thank you. So, Jason, could you just do that? Okay, so we're all on gallery now and we're all looking at each other and chatting away. And you have the first 4 verses. Does anything strike you about the first 4 verses, guys? And youth group, feel free to chime in. What strikes you about these first 4 verses? Pastor Babu, anything? Yes. Just unmute.
It is a great chapter read, yes. Wrote by the Korah poets as well as other people who actually have intimate relationship with God. You know, there are not one thing, there are many things. But to put into a simple words, God is each and every second of our life He's watching.
Ouch.
And yeah, that is what it says all together. And they have agreed that the supremacy of God over us. That's what I believe.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else want to add to that? You have searched me and known me.
Like yesterday, I said, like, God searches for us. He specifically finds us and he, you know, he knows what we're doing, like that.
Yeah, very good, B. No hiding from God. Okay, no hiding from God. He has looked for us. He has found us. There is another meaning to searched. Anyone? You have searched me and known me. What is the other meaning? Search is to look for, right? But there's a deeper meaning here to search. What would you say would be the search over here? If everyone can put on their videos, it would be nice because then we can all participate and, you know, just see how we're reacting and what do we feel about it. So you have searched me and known me. There's something deeper also beyond just physical searching. God has looked for us. God has found us. After all, He made us, right?
And something who is lost, that needs searching.
Very good. Sometimes we are lost and God looks for. Isn't that heartening to know that even if we are lost, somebody is looking for us? Sometimes I think, you know, of it's terribly sad, the slave trade which is going on even today. People are being kidnapped. Human trafficking is going on. And I wonder, do any of these people who are trafficked take consolation that God is still looking there? God is there. No matter the most dire of circumstances, God is with us. Do they turn to God? Right? The other meaning of to search means to know somebody intimately. He's gone through us. He's, you know, to use that Hindi word khudodo. He's khudodoing our thoughts. He's looking through us. He is searching through us to see what are you up to. Right? So I have searched you. You have searched me and you have known me. In the biblical sense, to know somebody is to be very, very intimate with them. So much so that the relationship between a husband and a wife is known as them knowing each other. It is an intimacy which is there. It doesn't get better than that. It doesn't get closer than that to know someone. Okay? To have an intimate knowledge about someone, which is basically telling us what? Can we hide from God? No way. No escape. No running away. No thinking, okay, I'm rejecting him and I'm walking off, so I don't need to bother now. He is not in my life anymore. Sorry to disappoint you. God's right there. He is not leaving. You might try to leave. He is not walking away from you, guys. And when you think about it, it is such a comforting thought. I mean, I have found so much comfort in that thought that even in my worst moments, when I've been struggling with myself, when I've been looking at life and wondering what on earth is going on around me, what's happening to me, it has comforted me to know that God is with me still. He has not abandoned me, and never is he going to abandon me. Right? So you have searched me, you have known me, you know when I sit down and when I rise up. Can you imagine how intimately he knows us? The smallest of things he knows. When I sit down, when I stand up, for heaven's sake, about how many times a day do you think we sit and stand? Rough guess, rough number.
At least,
Yes.
at least 2,000 times.
If not 2,200, okay.
I don't
And
know,
every time
more
you well, tells me you're very active, Pastor Babu. But we know that even when we sit down, when we stand up, God is looking at us. God is watching us so minutely, okay? He's not letting go. You discern my thoughts from afar. What does the word discern mean, guys? To discern something. It's one of the gifts, isn't it? The gifts of discernment. Am I right, Sushant?
Yes.
One of the gifts given to us by God is the gift of discernment. Do you know what discernment means, Shalini?
To be able to differentiate.
Excellent. To be able to know the difference, right? To be able to see those small differences, okay? To discern, to be able to know somebody so well that when you look at them, you know, is this just something that's on the surface, or is this person genuinely what they're projecting? Right? He discerns us. He knows. He sees Seema when she's making these beautiful patchwork things which she's making these days. And he's watching her and he knows that she's doing it out of genuine love. Right? Is she doing it to show off? No. She's doing it because she enjoys doing it. She's doing it because she is sharing with everybody. And we're all enjoying it as well. He is discerning everything we're doing. Okay? He knows when Avisha is nice with her sister and how she loves her. And how she looks after her. I've seen her feeding her. Right? So we know that he discerns her and he's watching her and he knows how much she loves her sister. So we have, you discern me, and from my thoughts, even what we're thinking, remember, God is looking at. Sometimes it's scary, isn't it?
It
I
is.
mean, itna, so much? You're even in my head looking at my thoughts? It's quite a scary proposition when you look at it. He knows everything we're thinking. So don't think, well, no one can see what I'm thinking, but I think that lady is really badly dressed. I don't like her, right? I think she's I'm not using the word, but you know, she's not a nice person. And God is looking at us and saying, hello, I'm listening. I know what you're thinking. And do you know what? Do you think what you're thinking is a good thought? Do you think you're being positive? Do you think you're being kind? Do you know her circumstances? Or have you just judged without looking? He knows. He's watching. So we even have to be careful about our thinking. And he's saying, You search out my path and my lying down and acquainted with all my ways. So it's not only sitting and standing, okay? It's even when you're lying down, he knows. He's watching everything. He knows. You are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, you know it altogether. Now, this led to a question which I'm going to ask shortly after we read the next 4 verses. Okay? Jason, could I ask you to read the verses 6 to 8, please?
Verses
5 to 8, sorry.
5 to 8. Psalm 139, 5 to 8. You hem me in behind and before. You have laid your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. Until 9?
Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Take 9 as well. Yes. Could you read 9 as well?
Yeah. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea,
And 10.
even there your hand will guide me, your right hand will hold me fast.
Good. Thank you, Jason. So the question I asked my kids were, God knows before I speak what I'm going to say. Correct? It says that before a word is uttered, you know what I'm going to say. You hem me in. You're around me. Okay, you're not watching from up there. You're around me. Your hand is on my head. Okay, no matter where I go, I can't hide from you. And then he says in verse 10, your hand shall lead me, your right hand shall hold me. So the question I have for everyone is, are we puppets? Before I speak, he knows. He's leading me. He's hemmed me in. He's got his hand on my head. Do I have any control over my life?
Yes.
What's the
No,
answer?
I think he says that he knows, but he says he doesn't, he controls. You know, there's a
What's
difference
the
between
difference?
knowing and controlling. You know.
Okay, give me an example, Jason, from your own life and your
Yeah.
kids, maybe.
Yeah, maybe I can know what Avisha is next is going to do, but knowing that I let her do, than controlling not to do that. That is something God very clearly respects our freedom. That's
But it says he leads me.
leads in the
He's
sense
going
like
ahead of me. He's leading me. So what do we mean by that? If he's
leading.
leading me, then
Yeah.
do I have any choice in the direction I'm taking?
Allows us to listen to him, and only when we listen to him is where we are led. He doesn't hold our hand and forces us to go anywhere. It's when he allows us to listen to him and be led by him.
So the question is, do I have free will?
Free will
Yes.
is that he's allowing us to do what we want to do and how we want to do. He's still there. Even if we make a wrong choice and go the path that he doesn't like, he's still there with us. He's allowing us. He lets us do it.
And how many people would do that with us? I know as a parent, I am constantly scolding my kids, right? Sometimes to the extent that they say, Mama, do you ever see anything good in us? Right? See, Nemat is vigorously nodding her head. I'm always trying to push them, come on, guys, you've got to, what do you mean by doing this? Stop it. You're not allowed to do this. No longer. If you do this anymore, there are consequences to what you're doing. So, and then my kids ask me, hello, do we have any choice in what we're doing? Or are you going to live our life for us? Are you going to let us grow from our own mistakes? Or are you going to decide which mistakes we can make and can't make also now? Right? Look at the freedom God gives us. He's there, never abandoning us. But he is not dictating our lives. Okay? He's not dictating, even though it says he leads us. Yes, he leads. What do you mean by leads? Come on, let's discuss that word. What do you mean by leads us? And then he says, you
Just
hold my
gives
hand.
us the way.
He shows us the way. Well done, sweetheart. He creates opportunities for us. Whether we use them or not, our choice. Okay? But he leads us. He's always there showing us the way. And I think good parenting involves that, doesn't it? It means telling our kids, hello, there are choices you have to make. Now you make the choice, but I need to tell you there are choices. Right? Very often, especially when it comes to peer pressure, kids sometimes think they have no choice. Everybody's telling me to do it. If I don't do it, I will lose my friends, so I don't have a choice. I'll be alone. No, you won't. We've just been told our God does not abandon us. You do have a choice. And we all as adults have choices to make. God will lead us. Where we go, our decision. So let's go to verse 11, okay, and 12. Jonathan, would you read those, please, sweetheart? Verses 11 and 12 of Psalm 139.
Yes, auntie. Ma'am, just a second. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be light about me. Yet the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee.
Well done. Thank you, sweetie. So anyone want to comment on this? Seema, you're very quiet, sweetie. You want to comment on this? Seema there? Sunil, are you there? Hello, Sunil? Okay, so let's just ask anybody here. What do you think it means? Even if the darkness is not dark to you, the night is bright as the day, but darkness is as light with you. What is the night? What does the night signify here?
Darkness.
Literal darkness? Yes, could be. Anything else it could be?
Going away from God.
Absolutely. Going away from God, hiding from God, trying to deny God.
That's
This is
what altogether the psalmist is anticipating. Even though I go up, Hindi they says na, तूने मुझे आगे पीछे घेर रखा है, तेरी आत्मा को छोड़कर मैं कहाँ जाऊं. So ultimately that's what he is trying to tell here.
So why does it say then, for darkness is as light with you?
That's what we need to recognize. Even though we are in darkness, he is still in light. There is no darkness in him.
Where there's God, where he is, there is light, even in darkness.
Exactly.
Avisha wants to say something.
Yes, Avisha. Come on, sweetie.
Auntie, when you are telling this Bible study, you remind me of the story of Jonah. He was
What
running
about-
away from God and he was hiding from God. He thought God was not there.
Oh, wow, that's brilliant, Avisha. Well done, sweetheart. Absolutely right. Bang on. He's a perfect example of what we're talking about. You try to run away, he'll dump you in the belly of a blessed whale and he'll spit you out again where you're supposed to go. Isn't that horrible? But he thought he'd run away from God and found himself right back where he was supposed to be. Right? So you have here the whole idea that God is not gone away anywhere. And as Shalvi rightly said, God is light. There is no darkness in him, as Pastor Babu said. So, we might think we are in darkness, but sorry, we are in the light. Because God is not, and he's around us. He says, I hem you in. I've got my hand upon you. So if he's around us, he's got his hand upon us, it's like a blessed beacon shining on us. Right? Because he's light. Let's not run away from that. Okay, so let's take the last 4 verses and to B, would you like to read them, sweetheart?
Yes, Auntie.
13, 14, 15, 16.
Okay, Auntie. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you. When I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth, you saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be.
Thank you, sweetheart. Are you comfortable with my sharing that PowerPoint I made yesterday? Youth group? B, are you okay with it?
Yeah, Auntie.
Okay, so guys, I'm just going to share this. I made this for the kids yesterday, and I want you to just have a look at this. We asked they were given a little homework to do for the youth group. They were told that if you were famous, what would you be famous for? And why? So each of them did these very cute presentations about how they thought, some of them said that I want to sing, I want to be known for my generosity, I want to be known because I'm always doing silly things, I'll be famous for that. And it was very interesting. And then we read this part. You created my inmost being, which we just read. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I want you to look at those 2 words, okay? But before that, look at this word knit, okay? And I was saying I have this image of God sitting there like an old grandmother knitting me in my mother's womb, okay? But whenever you knit, Shalini, can you just knit at random or do you generally need to have a pattern? Pattern, exactly. You need to have a pattern. So, you get a pattern. Correct? I know Shalini is particularly fond of this cable pattern. She makes it on everything which she knits, and I love it. It's such an intricate pattern and so beautiful. But she says it's actually quite simple. It doesn't look simple to me. And now, remember I told you, look at the word knit. I want you to see this. What's this?
DNA.
DNA. DNA. And can you see the similarity? Can you see the knitting pattern? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Yes, Auntie.
See the pattern being knit? And just think, when this psalm was written, do you think they knew about DNAs?
No.
And yet he's used the right word, hasn't he? You knit me together in my mother's womb. This is God's wisdom being manifested through human words. You knit me together in my mother's womb. So God knit us. God made us. Let there be no doubt that God created us. We are a creation of God. And when God creates something, he doesn't create rubbish, okay? This is what I keep telling my kids in school. You are not rubbish. Don't ever believe you are. Why? Because you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Remember those words we just read? You are fearfully. What do you mean by fear? Are we scary? Are we monsters?
Carefully.
What does fear mean? Remember, fear the Lord thy God.
Carefully, in other words.
What does fear mean here? Fear. Come on, Shalini, careful, correct. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. Fear is used in what context here? Terror?
Full respect. Full
Yes,
respect.
to respect. Thank you. Awe. The word awe. A-W-E. To be awed by something that is made. So that we are overwhelmed by it. Right?
That's
You look
that's why
at
it is.
nature. Yes, Pastor Babu?
That's why it is so fearful. We can't even comprehend how
Exactly.
wonderfully. And then the next word he says, no, that before the foundations, that our form not been yet formed, but he has formed it.
Exactly.
That is what the fearfulness makes.
And
The
just take a look
respect.
around you at nature. Take a look at your own body and see how it works. Have you seen how intricate it is and how the systems are woven into each other? I was
Yeah.
sharing with the kids yesterday about China and how they once thought that, oh my gosh, the sparrows are doing too much damage to the crops. So they paid their people to kill the sparrows. And when they did that, come the next season, and they found all the worms destroyed their crops and all the insects destroyed their crops. And then they realized, oh my gosh, we need the sparrows in the system, the ecosystem. So then they reintroduced sparrows into China. So, you know, these are the whole thing about the balance in nature, how intricately nature is made. And we just look at, I mean, the very fact that I can move my thumb, do you realize the amount of what intricacy is needed for me to do this? Right? So we are fearfully and we are wonderfully made. Wonderful is a positive or a negative word?
Yesterday, I was actually, when I was taking bath, I was realizing that when you pour out the water, it doesn't go into your ears, even though it pours a lot of.
There you go.
I was even, I was even imagining, like we used to swim, like we used to be inside the water for like couple of like
Hours.
at least 1 minute or no. So I was just thinking there is no water going inside the ears. Of course, in the nose we have this facility to breathe in, breathe out, sort of. But for ears, it doesn't. Like how we have been made. It's like it should just go
Wonderful.
inside and damage the
Exactly.
entire.
Thank you, Jason. And that's why when we're bathing our dogs, we are told put the water from on top, because that's how nature makes rain fall on us and wets us. And be careful you don't squirt water into their ears or they're going to get an infection, right? So exactly this. So look at verse 15. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven. Look at that word intricate. How complex we are in our thinking, in our reactions, in our body, in our souls. We're intricate, intricately made, right? And he says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, which wonderful is a positive word. It is not a negative word. There's no way you can attach any kind of negativity with the word wonderful, can you?
Correct. And there is a pastor called Shishya Thompson in Delhi, but he works for Emirate. He has explained the eyes of our body, our ears, our hair, our hands, our heart, and all those things. The machineries that we have nowadays is actually the machinery of that God has put into our body.
Exactly.
For example,
you're right. People look at us and then make their machine saying, I want to replicate this. Correct, Pastor?
Yes.
And that's exactly it. I mean, God thought of everything before we were even made. And
he was explaining about the camera. The camera, that color, that gets the colors, but our eyes is more powerful than camera, which can remember, not only remember, but reflect to the mind. That's what he was explaining, That's how wonderful God is.
Artificial intelligence will never replace us, because artificial intelligence can never have something called intuition.
Correct.
Where we're able to make that leap of connections, which machines cannot do. Right? They can replicate us to a certain extent, but they will never have intuition because they don't have souls. Right? Correct. So here we are intricately made, but he made us secretly. We reach a secret formula. Isn't that a great idea? I'm a secret formula. No one knows what I am except God. So that's also comforting, because I wouldn't really like it if everybody knew exactly who I am. Everybody likes to have a bit of mystery about them, isn't it? So we are secretly made by God. We are intricately made by God. We are fearfully made by God. We are wonderfully made by God. Now, if I am wonderful, if I am fearfully made, if I am unique, Can I compare myself to anybody else?
No.
That is why
You
this
can't.
game of comparisons is the stupidest thing in the world. God has never said, never compare yourselves to others. He simply says, I have given you a yardstick. How are you doing against that yardstick? Don't worry whether Pastor Babu is doing it. Don't worry whether Jason is doing it. Don't worry if Namath is doing it. Have no problems about how Sunil is coping. Don't concern yourself about how Jonathan is doing with that. How are you doing? How are you doing? That's what God's asking us. You are uniquely made. You can't compare yourself to anybody else. I get so mad when parents come to school, and say, देखो इसके नंबर, वो जो सुनील है ना, उसको तो पूरे नंबर मिल गए, इसके तो 5 नंबर कट गए थे, क्यों कटे? And I'm like, hello? You never come to me and say, कि Sunil can't sing as well as your son can. Then I don't see you coming and comparing. Your son is starring in the shows. I don't see you coming and then telling me, oh ho, us Sunil ne kyun nahi kiya? I said, your son is you, is him. Don't compare him to anybody else. And when a child comes to me, I stand at the back, when my kids are coming into school, and I meet them all. And sometimes a little boy will come and say, ma'am, see how I did in my test. And he shows me his book. The only question I have to ask him is, do you think you could have done better? And he says, yes. I said, okay. So next time you have a test, if you do better, come and share it with me. And he does. I never ask him, hey, how did Rahul do? He got 2 marks more than you. Oh, nothing doing. Great, my son. I'm really happy with your marks. You're obviously happy with them. You're sharing them with me. Do you think you can do better than this? Great. Let's try for it. That's what God is asking us to do. Right? He's saying you are beautiful in your own right. I have made you perfect, because God doesn't make anything less than perfection. So even I'm telling you, I have a crooked back. Right? I have a rod in my spine. I come under the disabled category of people, but I have never thought of myself as anything less than able to do the impossible, because I know I can do it if God is with me. That's not going to hold me back. And don't ever let anything hold you back in life, okay? You put your trust in God, He makes the impossible happen. I have seen it. So trust God and work with it. And just look now. I have a final question for you. Okay? It says here in verse 16, your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. He's already written the story of our lives, and we haven't even lived them. So I'm asking again, are you sure we are not puppets?
We are not.
We aren't.
Why not?
puppets.
He's already written it down. तो मेरा क्या लेना देना इसमें? किस्मत नहीं है यहाँ पे?
नहीं है.
क्यों नहीं है? बोलो. लिखा तो है, तो मैं क्या करूं?
लिखा तो है, ये ब्लेसिंग है.
क्यों?
ब्लेसिंग है, ताकि हम अपने आप को और भी अंधेरे से वापस उसके अंधेरे से रोशनी में आ सके, उसकी
तो मेरा
अगुवाई में
क्या
आ सके.
चॉइस है फिर इसमें? अगर उसने पहले
Choice
ही
यही है.
किया, तो मेरा क्या
Choice-
चॉइस है?
चॉइस ये है कि उससे दूर होकर के और अनंतकाल के लिए रोने से अच्छा उसकी चॉइस लेकर के उसके साथ रहने में फायदा है. इसका कहने का मतलब एंड वाला यही है.
तो उसका चॉइस है ना, मेरा चॉइस कहाँ है इसमें? How am I a free bird? Where's my free will? Come on, guys.
He's made you to live in that path. It's your choices. He's just laying them in front of you.
Absolutely, Dee. Don't forget, He knows me intimately. He knows that when I was given these choices in my life, this was the choice I would make. Because He knows me so well. So even if He's written my story, it doesn't mean it's not my story.
No.
It's still my story. Like I was sharing with Gungun yesterday, I said, I took her shopping once for her birthday present, and she was trying on outfits. And when she came out after wearing a particular red outfit, I knew कि she's going to choose this one. I knew it without doubt कि यही लेने वाली है. उसके बाद और भी try किया, and sure enough she chose that outfit. Did I make the choice for her?
No.
I didn't. She made it. But I knew now, because I knew her well enough. Now, can you imagine?
Correct.
God knows us 100 times more than we know anybody. So even if he's written that story, it's still our story, don't forget. It's a story we're writing. I don't know what the rest of my story is. I'm still writing it. Even if it's written there, I am still writing it. My choices. So remember
Correct.
this. Hold on to this belief that God loves us. God never abandons us. God has made us wonderfully. And that God has given us free will to make the choices. We need his support to make the right ones. Never believe that you are not capable or that you can't change. Can, because God is with us. So may God be with all of us as we move into this week, and may God bless us, and may God always remind us of how brilliant each one of us is. We are a work of art. Never forget that. Thank you.